day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's today's tourism lesson. My name is Tobile Mabuza. This lesson is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with Saibono Discovery Center. Today's topic that I'll be presenting is foreign exchange. This lesson is made just in time because you'll be writing your preparatory examination tomorrow. So it's very essential that you pay attention so that you're all geared up for tomorrow's paper. So today we're going to be doing foreign exchange. It is important to know what you need to know as a grade 12 learner in terms of foreign exchange. You need to know the term gross domestic product and its benefits to the South African economy. You need to know the multiplier effect and link it to the GDP. You need to know the concept, strong and weak rand, and the relative strength and relative weakness of a currency at specific times. You should be able to also interpret a currency rate sheet, and you should be able to convert major currencies to South African rands and convert South African rands into selected currencies. You also need to understand the buying power of different currencies. It is important to use only the exchange rates expressed as one unit of foreign exchange. The value in the rand, for instance, $1 is equivalent to 19 rand 7 cents. Calculators may be used for calculations. Always round off your answers to 2 decimal places, example 34 rand, 56. Which means that when you calculate foreign exchange, or when you're going to be doing foreign exchange, you always need to remember that when you write tourism, you need to have your calculator with you in the exam room. And then also what you need to know as the grade 12 tourism learner is the difference between the bank buying rate and the bank selling rate, and the effect of exchange rates on international tourism, affecting both inbound and outbound tourists, and how these influence travel patterns of South Africans traveling to developing countries as well as to developed countries. And you also need to know fluctuations in exchange rates. Now, remember that on the section where I said what you need to know, there was a statement saying that you need to know the gross domestic product and its benefit to the South African economy. The gross domestic product is the total amount of goods and services produced within an economy of a country in a certain period of time. Key economic sectors include mining, transport, energy, manufacturing, construction, tourism, and agriculture. So what's very important that you need to understand as grade 12 learners is that tourism is also included when the GDP is being calculated, meaning that tourism is very important. It generates money for the South African economy, and tourism is included when calculating the gross domestic product. It says that tourism contributes 3.7 to South Africa's gross domestic product, more than agriculture and construction. This gives us an indication that the tourism sector is very important to South Africa's economy. Hence, it is always included when calculating the gross domestic product. And hence, tourism is also done as a subject because it's a major economic contributor into the South African economy. The increase in GDP results to an increase in economic growth. The demand for tourism improves the GDP of a country, leading to job creation, improvements, and in infrastructure and a sustainable tourism sector. And then we have the multiplier effect and the link to the GDP. The multiplier effect is when the money spent by tourists filters down through the economy, directly and indirectly benefiting people, employees, and other businesses as well as government. So I always refer to the multiplier effect as when money filters through different sectors or through different people, benefiting people directly and indirectly. So if if you look at my body language, when I describe the multiplier effect, I always make use of my hands. That the multiplier effect is how the money spent benefits different people in the economy, businesses, directly and indirectly. So this money starts out small in one hand, but it's able to expand and improve other people's lives and businesses and also government in various ways. Here's the practical example of the multiplier effect. Sometimes you won't actually understand it when we talk about the definition of the multiplier effect, but a practical example makes it easy for you to understand. So over here, we've got a tourist who decides to stay at a hotel. He pays for a 10-night stay at the hotel. So these arrows, if you look at my diagram, they're indicating that this is a continuous process. For the fact that a tourist decided to stay at a hotel, he pays for a 10-night stay. And remember, when we use the term pay, we mean that money is being spent. The hotel uses the direct income made by the tourist to pay the salaries of hotel staff. Remember that when the tourist pays for the 10-night stay, him making a payment to the hotel means that he is making a direct payment, and that direct payment will be used by the hotel to pay the salaries of the hotel staff. And then the hotel staff, because it's normal people like me and you, are able to use the money to buy groceries at the shops, which is an indirect income for the grocery store. So now this gives us an indication that if it wasn't for the tourists who arrived and spent money at the hotel, the employees or staff at the hotel wouldn't have received salaries. And if they hadn't received salaries, the grocery store wouldn't have been able to make an indirect income from the money that was spent by the employees of that particular hotel. The grocery store is able to stock up, to buy stock from suppliers. So now we can see that, oh, okay, the employees from the hotel went to spend money at the grocery store, but now the grocery store is now also able to spend money restocking products for their store. And all of this wouldn't have been possible if we started at the top. It would have been possible if it wasn't for the tourists who came and spent 10 nights at the hotel and made payments. It wouldn't have been possible if the hotel didn't pay the employees. It would have been possible if the employees didn't spend money at the grocery store. And it would have been possible for the grocery store to pay for, to go and restock items if it wasn't for the employees from the hotel coming to purchase some groceries at the store. Suppliers use the money from the grocery store to pay for fuel at petrol stations for delivery trucks. So we now know that the grocery store is able to buy stock from the suppliers, but the suppliers need money to move the goods. Money and fuel to move the goods around. So obviously the supplier will use the money that he received from the grocery store when the grocery store was restocking on supplies to pour some fuel or petrol into the delivery trucks. And this again takes us back that it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the tourists who came and spent money at the hotel. So can you see how the income is directly and indirectly benefiting different people? The income or the money that was spent by that tourist who came into our country. The petrol station pays value-added tax and fuel levies to the government, South African Revenue Services. So for the fact that now the trucks, the suppliers for the grocery store used some money to pour petrol into their delivery trucks. Now the petrol station now is the one that is also benefiting indirectly. So the petrol station gets its income from the fuel or the petrol that was poured by the delivery trucks. And as you know, petrol, there's value-added tax added to it, and there's also fuel levies that are paid to the government. So now you can see how the government now is also getting a piece of the cake from the money that was spent by the tourists. Taxes paid to governments result in the governments being able to improve infrastructure, schools, hospitals, etc. So now we know that part of that money that was used, part of that money that the petrol stations received, it went to governments through the form of VATs, through the form of petrol levies or fuel levies. And governments, once they receive that VAT and the fuel levies, they're able to improve infrastructure, schools and hospitals and etc. It takes us back again that no, this wouldn't have been possible for this money to multiply through different hands to different people, benefiting different people indirectly and directly, if it wasn't for the tourists who arrived and spent some money at the hotel. The money stays in the country, it circulates until the money is lost through a leakage due to paying for imports. So that money that has been spent by the tourists, the cycle is endless. Although my diagram actually ends at this particular step, it doesn't mean that this money ends there. This money will continue circulating, benefiting people directly, indirectly, until it has a leakage, until it pays for imports and it exits the economic cycle of our country's economy. So all in all, what you need to know is that the multiplier effect is the money that is spent by tourists, how it benefits different people, different sectors, different businesses, directly and indirectly. Now, if you look here on the screen, we've got an activity on the multiplier effect. Explain how inbound tourism sets the multiplier effects in motion. Use the following diagram as a guideline. Write the answer next to the question number 3.2.1 in your answer book. So based on the explanation that I just gave you, the example that I gave you of the multiplier effects, if you don't need to exactly grasp my example, but once you understand the dynamics of how the multiplier effects work, you would be able to complete this particular diagram. This particular diagram or this particular activity was from a past question paper, preparatory examination. So if we look here, they say the international tourist arrives. Then at 3.2.1, you must state that once he arrives, what happens? Once he has done what he's supposed to do, what happens at 3.2.2? What happens at 3.2.3? What happens at 3.2.4? So hence that I said in the beginning that for you to understand the multiplier effects, you also need to have a practical example behind at the back of your mind, so that it keeps on lingering and saying, oh, at least I know I have a practical example of the multiplier effects. I don't just know the definition, but I know how the multiplier effects the multiplier effects operates. So if we look at 3.2.1, it's possible answers of the multiplier effect. Remember that the previous on the diagram of the activity says the foreign tourist spends money in South Africa by paying accommodation, transport, attractions, food, and the tourist pays or buys those. 3.2.2, they say these service providers use the money to pay their employees. The business owner earns money. The employees pay their bills, buy food from local people, thus the money stays in the community. Then the business owner pays suppliers or employees. 3.2.4, the service providers can pay their employees, buy new stock from local people, thus the money stays in the economy. The supplier pays for his bills of employees spend their earnings, and the employees spend their earnings. So once you have a basic understanding of the multiplier effect, it should be easy to complete any diagram that needs you to apply a practical example. And then part of the things that you need to know was the concept strong rand. So when we talk about the strong rand or currency, it refers to a currency when it is worth more than another currency. So when we talk about a strong currency, or sometimes we refer to it as a strong rand, we are referring to a currency that when it is worth more than another currency, because remember that the currencies fluctuates. So when it is worth more than another currency, we refer to that particular currency as a strong currency or a strong rand. For example, the rand being worth more against the Great British pound at a given time. Meaning that not that the rand is always strong, not that the rand can be strong, but at a certain given time, if the rand is being worth more against, not then against the Great British pound. Meaning that if the rand is strong, you'll be able to buy more Great British pound. Meaning that when we have a strong rand, or we have a strong currency, or you have a strong currency, our rand is strong, you'll be able to buy more Great British pound, meaning that your affordability to buy a foreign currency increases when a country's currency is actually strong. When the rand is strong, it makes it affordable for South Africans to travel to international countries, simply because we are able to buy more of a foreign currency because we have more of a buying power. Our rand is strong, our currency is strong, we're able to purchase more foreign currency. So it's easy for us to travel internationally and afford to buy foreign currency in international countries. And then we look at the impact of a strong rand on inbound tourism. A country like as in South Africa with a strong currency will be expensive to visit for inbound travelers. Remember in grade 10 when you first started to learn about tourism, when our first week in tourism, we spoke about the different types of tourism and we spoke about inbound tourism. I always make use of this inbound tourism because when my hands are out, I'm referring to those tourists from international countries. When I say inbound and my hands come in, I'm referring to them coming into our country. So inbound tourists are those tourists who come into our country. In this instance, inbound tourists would be foreign tourists or international tourists who are coming into South Africa. Inbound tourists will receive less money in exchange of their foreign currency, meaning that if the South African rand is strong, it will also be difficult or it will become expensive for foreign tourists to purchase South African rand simply because our currency at that given time or during that given period will be actually strong. So tourists will receive less money in exchange of their foreign currency. Does less sound good? Who wants to receive less money? No one. But yeah. When our rand is strong and a foreign tourist wants to come to South Africa and wants to purchase foreign currency, it will be very difficult. It will become more expensive and they'll have less of our currency to spend because they'll be spending more of their foreign currency in order to purchase South African rands. Inbound tourists spend less money on accommodation, attractions, transport, activities if the currency of the country they are visiting is strong. So as much as we are saying they receive less money in exchange of their foreign currency, when these inbound tourists come into our country and our currency is strong, they will spend less money on accommodation. Why? Because they received less South African rands. They'll spend less on attractions, they'll spend less on transport, they'll also spend less on activities. And that's not what we want. We want our tourists to spend more when they're visiting South Africa. So, when the currency is strong, there will be a decrease in inbound travelers because of a strong currency. Now, in South Africa, from a tourism perspective, when our currency is strong, or the South African currency is strong, or the South African rand is strong, it is not such a good thing for us because it means that we'll have less tourists coming in. They won't afford to stay in South Africa for longer periods. They'll be spending less on accommodation, attractions, activities, meals, and so on. And in South Africa, our tourism industry aims at making tourists spend more because remember, the more they spend, it also has a positive impact on the gross domestic product. So if you look at this particular emoji, I know that you guys are familiar with emojis. This emoji is saying boo. So you need to know, you shouldn't relate strong as something of being positive, of being of positive nature when you look at it in terms of South African tourism industry. When you talk about the strong currency, the strong rand, it is not good for the South African tourism industry, given these particular reasons that were explained. And then the impact of a strong rand on outbound tourism. South Africans traveling out to foreign countries will increase because of a strong currency. So remember, I explained the concept inbound. Now I'm going to explain the concept outbound tourism. When we talk about outbound tourism, we're referring as to us South Africans traveling, going out to other countries, going out. We refer to it as outbound tourism or refer to ourselves as outbound tourists. So when the currency is strong, when our rand is strong, South Africans traveling out to foreign countries will increase because of the strong rand or currency. Tourists will be able to buy foreign currency in foreign countries, in the foreign country they are visiting, because of the strong rand or the strong currency, which means that when we have a strong rand or we have a strong currency, it makes it possible for us to afford to travel to international countries and purchase their foreign currency. Tourists will be encouraged to travel out of their own countries. So if our rand is strong or our currency is strong, it actually stimulates us and makes us want to travel to international countries, simply because we'll be able to afford international currencies or currencies from foreign countries. And then the concept weak rand. The concept weak rand means the rand's value has decreased and it is worth less against other currencies. So when we talk about the weak rand, it means the value has decreased and it is worth less against other currencies. And then the impact of a weak rand on inbound tourism. Just to kick off this particular slide, look at this emoji. This emoji is speaking volumes. It has the thumbs up sign, meaning that when the currency is weak or the rand is weak, it has a positive effect on inbound tourism. A country with a weak currency will have an increase in foreign tourist arrivals. So in this particular perspective, in this particular case, let's say South Africa's currency is weak, we must know that, okay, this is good for us because it's going to lead to an increase in foreign tourist arrivals. The reason is because a weak currency is cheaper to buy when using a foreign currency which is strong. So when we have foreign tourists coming in, and at that particular time, that specific period, maybe our rand is weaker, they're able to get more of South African rands for less. Tourists visiting a country with a weak currency will buy more foreign currency for that country. So if now the currency is weak, tourists will be able to buy more of the foreign currency, meaning the South African rand, for that country. They'll be able to stay longer lengths of stay as they will have more money to spend. Now this is good for us, staying longer lengths, spending more on bed nights, spending more on attractions, activity meals. Yay, that is good for the tourism industry. That is what we want. The tourists, we get more tourists when our currency is weak. We get more inbound tourists when our currency is weak. Please remember that, because this sometimes comes as a form of a paragraph question where you need to distinguish the different impacts of the strong rand on inbound tourism, weak currency or rand on inbound tourism. So you should be able to discuss these thoroughly. So these particular pointers here on these slides are very important for you to grasp in order to be able to answer the paragraph type of questions when it comes to foreign exchange. Tourists will spend more money on accommodation, meals, and attractions because they'll have more money to spend in a country with a weak currency. Then again, there will also be job creation as a result of more money being spent by inbound tourists in a country. So we know that once the inbound tourist exchanges his foreign currency and receives more rands, he'll have more money to spend. The more money he has to spend, there'll be different people benefiting directly and indirectly. The more money he has to spend, there'll be a higher demand. The more there's a higher demand for a certain product, maybe we will find that now jobs get created. So when the rand is weak, also in terms of a tourism perspective, it does help to stimulate the economy because we get more tourists who are coming in who need goods and services, and obviously people need to provide those. So jobs are created because we will need to hire more people or more workers in institutions like hotels and the accommodation industry, transport sectors, attraction sectors, casinos and lotteries, and so on. They will need more employees if there's more inbound tourists coming in, staying for longer periods, and spending more money while in South Africa. A country with a weak currency is a cheaper tourist destination for inbound travelers, meaning for foreign tourists. So when the currency is weak, when the currency is weak or the South African rand is weak, we are bound to attract more foreign tourists or more inbound tourists when our currency is weak. And then the impact of a weak rand on outbound tourism. Excuse me. When our currency is weak, South African travelers find it difficult to travel internationally because of the weak rand. When the rand is weak, it is expensive to buy foreign currency and makes it difficult to spend money in a foreign country. Outbound tourists will stay for shorter periods in foreign countries and have less money to spend. So in terms of when us as South Africans want to go out to another country while our currency is weak, we can't afford to be in other countries or buy more of foreign currency when our currency is weak as outbound tourists. Remember, inbound tourists are able to purchase more of our foreign currency, but as outbound tourists, when we want to go out, we are not able to purchase more of their foreign currency because our currency is weak against their currency. So if we are outbound tourists and our currency is weak, we'll have less money to spend on accommodation, meals, attractions, and activities. We'll actually not want to spend. We'll be traveling on a tight budget. And then remember part of the slide where we said what you need to know as a grade 12 learner. You need to be able to know how to interpret a currency exchange rate sheet or a currency rate sheet. This currency rate sheet should be familiar to you through our class activities that we did when we're doing foreign exchange through the June exam. You should be familiar with this. And also when you watch the news daily, you should be familiar with the currency rate exchange sheets. Remember that tourism is always around us all the time. Okay, foreign exchange rates value sheets. So over here in the first column, we've got the currencies. Well, this is basically the currency codes, the USD, the GBP, the EUR, the Euro, the JPY. Remember that these are the codes. So if it's the USD, we know that it's the US dollar. If it's the GBP, we know that it's the Great British Pound or Pound Sterling. If it's the EUR, it's the Euro. If it's JPY, it's the Japanese Yen. And then when you look at a currency rate exchange sheet, you will see we've got the BBR and the BSR. So if you look in this particular instance, I'll just make an example with the US dollar. The bank buying rate is 13 Rand. For $1 US, it will be 13 Rand 90. And for 1 Great British Pound, it will be 19 Rand 09. And for 1 Euro, it will be 17 Rand 20. And for 1 for 1 Japanese yen, it will be 13 cents. Now, I want us to look at this particular table carefully because you're not going to get the exact same table. Remember that currencies are forever changing, they fluctuate, but the format would be of this nature. So remember, we've got the BBR and the BSR. Now, when I want you to look at the costs, the amounts of these columns, we'll see that, yes, why do we have the US dollar, USD at 13.90 under the BBR, then the BSR, we've got 14 Rand 69 cents. Remember that the bank buying rate is the price or rate at which banks buy foreign currency, and the bank selling rate is the price at which banks sell foreign currency. And what you always need to know also is that the bank selling rates will always remain higher than the bank buying rates. Why? Because the bank aims to make a profit when it is selling a foreign currency. And the bank buying rates will be less than the bank selling rate. So it's a norm that the bank selling rates will always be higher. And then interpreting currency rate codes and symbols. Some of this was part of grade 11, so I won't dwell so much onto it because you should be familiar with this. So you need to know somehow which country is using, the United States of America, they're using the US dollar, their currency code is the USD, and we've got the currency symbol, which is the US dollar. So you should be, as a grade 12 learner, be flexible enough to understand the code and also understand the symbol and able to identify the code and also be able to identify the symbol. In the United Kingdom, they use the pound sterling or the Great British Pound, and the code for that is GBP, and then we've got the currency symbol there. Sometimes I say it looks like an L which is stroked once. Guys, please, grade 12 learners, please pay attention to the symbol. Sometimes you mix it up with the euro. Please find a way to distinguish it for yourselves so that you don't make a mistake when you are answering foreign exchange. Then you've got the European Union countries which use the euro, the currency rate. The currency code is EUR, and then you've got also the symbol there. Not sure if I could say it looks like a C that is stroked twice. Find a way to differentiate because most of the time these two they have a way, the Great British Pound symbol and the Euro symbol has a way of confusing you as learners. And then we've got Japan, we've got Japanese yen, and it's a Y that is stroked twice. And then in South Africa, our currency code is the ZAR, and our symbol is R. So it's important to understand these symbols so that you also, these symbols and codes, and so on, so you're able to interpret even questions in the exam, depending on what is being used, the rate, or the symbol or the code. Then the difference between the bank buying rate and the bank selling rate. The bank buying rate is the rate at which the bank buys foreign currency from the tourist. The bank pays in local South African rands, local currency, which is South African rands. The bank buying rate is always lower than the bank selling rate. Then this is the bank selling rate is the price at which the bank sells foreign currency to a tourist. The bank sells foreign currency to a tourist. So when we say the bank selling rate, the bank buying rate, the word rate means price. The bank selling rate is always higher because banks sell foreign currency in order to make a profit. Okay. And then we're now moving into our foreign exchange calculations. I have a simple formula to remember, for you guys to remember. If I have rands and I want a foreign currency, I want a rand and I want a foreign currency, I'll say it's Forex. I circle my D. My D is telling me that I'm going to divide. And I want you to visualize what is happening. I've got rands and I want a foreign currency. I want you to visualize what is happening. I've got the South African rands in my hand and I want a foreign currency. Remember, I circled my D. I know that I'm going to divide. Now, the next question to ask yourself is am I going to use the bank selling rate or am I going to use the bank buying rate? So if I have the rands in my hand and I want a foreign currency, I'm going to use the bank selling rate, because remember what we said when we distinguished between the bank buying rate and the bank selling rate? We said the bank selling rate is the price at which the bank sells foreign currency to a tourist. And then if it's a Forex to Rand question, I want to take Forex to Rand, I circle my X. That X is telling me that I'm going to multiply. And now you always need to imagine what is happening. So I have a foreign currency and I want South African rands. What is going to happen? I've got a foreign currency and I want South African rands. I'm going to multiply, but we're going to use the bank buying rate, because remember when we distinguish, or what the definition of bank buying rate is, when we define the concept, we said that it is the price at which the South African bank will buy foreign currency from the tourist. So whenever the bank sees a foreign currency, the South African bank sees the foreign currency, they will always buy the foreign currency from the tourist using the bank buying rate. So this is a simple formula that you can use in order to tackle foreign exchange questions. And then also you find that you should be able to identify your major currencies somehow on banknotes, because remember that some questions, they come in different ways. So you should just familiarize yourself with the different banknotes of the major currencies. Okay, then we've got the foreign exchange calculations. Remember that foreign exchange is always tested at question 3. It will always be part of your exams. Tomorrow you're writing the preparatory examination. It's going to be there. It's going to be question 3. And also in the National Senior Certificate exam in November, it's still going to be there. It's still going to be question 3. So there's no running away from foreign exchange. It will always be there. So study the Forex table below as at 8 July and answer the questions that follow. Show all calculations and round the answer off to 2 decimal places. So over here we've got our currency rates table. And then we can see US dollar, Great British Pound, and the Japanese yen. Then if you look at 3.1, they say Mr. Graham budgeted $45,500 for a journey to Texas. Calculate the amount in US dollars. So when you look at the question, you first need to read it the first time. Then you read it. For the first time, you're just reading it for clarity purposes, just reading it quickly. Then for the second time, you are reading it with understanding to know what you need to be able to do. So when you tackle these questions, you need to know that, oh, okay, Mr. Graham budgeted 45,500, which is 45,500 rands. So already it is given to us that we are dealing with a rand to Forex question. For a journey to Texas, calculate the amount in US dollars. So if we look at this question, you can see I've underlined the amounts that were the 45,500 rand. And then I also underlined that we need to calculate the amount in US dollars. Remember what I said at the beginning of the lesson? Don't forget to bring your calculators because you will be using them in foreign exchange and also maybe to answer questions on budgets and so on. So when you go to the tourism examination room, always remember to bring your calculator, not your phone, your calculator. So over here, this is me in the exam room, meaning that is you tomorrow. Mr. Graham has 45,500 rands. Okay, 45,500 rands. Oh, first I must ask myself, is it a rand to forex question or forex to rand? So if I'm using my simple formula, I can see, oh, it's a rand question to forex. I circle my D. My D is telling me to divide. And then remember what I said, you need to visualize what is happening. Mr. Graham has South African rands and he wants a foreign currency. What is the bank going to do? Which rates is the bank going to use when assisting Mr. Graham to exchange his foreign currency? They will give, because he has rands and he wants a foreign currency, the bank will sell the foreign currency to Mr. Graham using the BSR. So, okay, so we've got our 45,500 divide by, what is the US dollar bank selling rate? It is at 14,69. And then I always somehow say that it would be advantageous for you to indicate that you're using the BSR. Maybe after writing that 14,69 in brackets, you just put a BSR. So that even at least your teacher can know, oh, this learner did know that he needs to use the bank selling rates and has possibly identified correctly. So this is me in the exam room punching in 45,500. 45,500 divided by 14,69. I'm going to write the answer that I'm getting in full. Yeah? So we know that Mr. Graham needs US dollars. So it says 3097,345. You're not supposed to write your answer like this, but what I'm trying to do now is to show you how you actually need to round off to the second decimal place, because most of the time you struggle in the exam, or yeah, I've noticed even in the classworks, in the classroom you struggle. We end up having debates, ma'am, but how do we round off? No, ma'am, wada. But now I'm just gonna help you to understand it better. So we've got the 3097,345. So when we round off to two decimal places, we look at the third digit after the comma. If this third digit after the comma is more than 5, it will affect the second digit after the comma. If it is less than 5, meaning 4 and less, it will stay the same. So the correct answer, the rounded off answer that we really want to see, in the exam, is the 3097,35 USD. Don't forget to write your currency code or your currency symbol when you answer, because remember that this was a rand to forex question. 45,500 rand divided by 14,69 gives us 3,097.35 US dollars. It's very important to always include the symbol. So if you look here, this is how we'd award marks. We award marks for dividing. Know that you need to divide, and also using the correct rate, and also giving us the rounded off answer, the answer that is rounded off to two decimal places. So it's very important, learners. We mark the one that is rounded off. It's the one that counts marks. We mark that answer. Don't forget to include your currency code. And also remember that you don't mark the unrounded answer off. We want to mark the rounded off. So remember to always round off to two decimal places when you're answering foreign exchange. Then it counts 3 marks. Now let's look at another question here. Always read your instructions carefully. Study the forex table as at 16 August and answer the questions that follow. Show all calculations. Round off the answer to 2 decimal places. So we can see here with this currency rate sheets, they gave us the currency code and they also gave us the symbols. So we've got the codes and we've got the symbol. And then we've got the bank buying rates and the bank selling rates. Now, again, So over here, we say calculate the amount that John received in Japanese yen for the 10,000 Rand when he budgeted for his hotel in Japan. So you need to analyze first, is it a Rand to Forex or Forex to Rand? So in this particular question, we had to calculate the amount that John received in Japanese yen for 10,000 Rand. It is Rand to Forex question. I circle my D is telling me to divide. And then remember that when we do, you need to visualize what is happening. When I've got 10,000 Rand and 10,000 Rand and I want a foreign currency, what is the bank going to do? They're going to sell me the foreign currency. So in this instance, they are going to be selling John the Japanese yens. So it'll be 10,000 Rand divide by, remember we're using the bank selling rates 0.142 BSR, and then this is me again in the exam. I've got my calculator, 10,000 Rand divide by, I'm doing it step by step so that you also know how you're going to do it in the exam. Can use the symbol or the code. Remember what I said about rounding off? We look at the third digit after the comma. If it's more than 5, it will affect the second digit after the comma. If it's less than 5, the second digit after the comma will stay the same. So in this case, here's the answer for 3.1.1. So given that now you have got the swing of things, you would be able to attempt 3.1.2 and 3.1.3. So I'm just going to move here. When we look at this particular question here, 3.1.1, the one that I did, marks will be awarded in this manner for knowing that you need to divide, for using the correct exchange rate, and also for giving us the answer that is rounded off. Yeah? So I'm just going to take us back to 3.1.2 because I can see that the examples that I did, most of them are focusing on the bank selling rates. But if we look at 3.1.2, they say on return to South Africa, John had 550 Japanese yen that he wanted to exchange to Rand. Calculate the amount that he received in Rand. So you need to understand, is it a Forex to Rand question or Rand to Forex question? So in this case, we know that John has 550 yen. So it's a Forex to Rand question. I circle my X, which is telling me I'm going to multiply. And remember what the bank buying rates concept definition says? It says that the bank buying rates is the rates that the bank uses in order to buy foreign currency. So in this case, we'll use the bank buying rate because John has 550 Japanese yen. So if we look at 550 Japanese yen, multiply by the Japanese yen bank buying rate 0.138. It's me again with my calculator in the exam. 550 Japanese yen multiplied by 0.138 multiplied by this amount in the bank buying rate column. R75.90. So if you go to our memo, you will see how marks are awarded. So you can always attempt, you must always answer your foreign exchange questions, because even though maybe when your final answer is wrong, there will be marks that are awarded to you, like marks in between for following the correct steps. Okay, and then 3.1.3, when we go back there, from the currencies listed in the table, identify the currency that will result in the best value for money when visiting South Africa. So which currency would actually give us more value for money would give an inbound tourist more value for money when visiting South Africa? It is the Great British Pound, because it is stronger. So the pound sterling, the Great British Pound, is stronger and will give more value for money when the inbound tourist comes into South Africa. Okay, then 3.1.4, motivate the answer in question 3.1.3. They will receive 18 Rand 41 for every 1 Great British pound. Compared to the other currencies, it is the best value for money. And also take note of the mark allocation when you answer your questions. Then you've got fluctuations in the exchange rates. When you talk about a fluctuation, it means something that is increasing, decreasing, does not stay constant. The exchange rate does not stay the same. That explains what is a fluctuation in our tourism perspective when you look at foreign exchange. This does not stay the same. It constantly changes, increasing or decreasing in value daily and throughout different times during the day. Fluctuation is the word we use to describe constant changes in the value of a currency, increasing, decreasing. We just use the correct concept and just say it is a fluctuation. We can say increasing, decreasing, but the correct term is fluctuation. And then factors that influencing fluctuations in exchange rates is inflation, political and economic stability, employment, unemployment in a country, government debt, interest rates, and trade balances. So you should know these factors that influence exchange rates. So politically, when we are unstable or inflation is high and so on, unemployment, it does affect the exchange rate value. And then tips in preparing for the preparatory examination 2023. Please use previous preparatory exam question papers to tackle tomorrow's preparatory examination. I'm not saying that it's going to be exactly the same questions. I'm just saying that just to familiarize yourself with the questioning technique. And then also, I've seen that learners struggle to get hold of preparatory examination papers. You can make use of this website where it says www.testpapers.co.za/grade 12 tourism, and you will find the preparatory Gauteng Department of Education Tourism preparatory exam under Gauteng mock exams. You'll find all your previous papers that will help you to prepare for the preparatory exam. Good luck, grade 12s. Wishing you all the best. And finally, I would just love to wish you a happy World Tourism Day. It's our day. Prepare yourself very well for tomorrow, and you guarantee to get good results. Thank you for tuning into today's lesson.
You are responsible for your own life. No matter how old you are responsible for the things that are currently happening in your life right now. Nobody's going to push you to become a better student. Nobody's going to push you to read more, to study more. You are responsible to put in the time necessary so that you can get the results that you want in your life. So today, make sure that you are putting in the work. Make sure that you are responsible in doing everything that you want to do. Because for you to achieve more, you need to put a little bit extra work to what you are doing and keep on believing. Keep on believing and keep on doing, and you will see the success that you want. I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what do I want? Do I want to become an A student, or do I want to become an average student? Number 2, I want you to ask yourself, how do you plan on getting there? Are you going to put more extra hours, or are you going to just sleep? Number 3, who will be with you in this journey? Because it is important that we associate ourselves with students who have the same vision as us, who want to become a student, who want to put in the extra work, who want to become better at what they do. Unsuccessful people do not plan. They just let life happen to them. But successful people are planning on how they want their lives to be. And right now, you plan on how you want your results at the end of the year to be like.
Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's lesson. My name is Maggie Mautlane. This lesson is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with Sibona Discovery Center. Just in time lesson for tomorrow is our big day. We'll be writing our preparatory examination in Gauteng. Now I'm going to do the structure of the paper. We have been doing all the topics. We've been presenting all the topics. Now is the time to know what you will come across tomorrow when you write. This doesn't support. Guys.
You are responsible for your own life. No matter how old you are responsible for the things that are currently happening in your life right now. Nobody is going to push you to become a better student. Nobody is going to push you to read more, to study more. You are responsible to put in the time necessary so that you can get the results that you want in your life. So today, make sure that you are putting in the work. Make sure that you are responsible in doing everything that you want to do. Because for you to achieve more, you need to put a little bit extra work to what you are doing and keep on believing. Keep on believing and keep on doing, and you will see the success that you want.
Must I start? Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's lesson. My name is Maggie Mautlane. This lesson is brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education in collaboration with the Sibona Discovery Center. Today, I'm going to do with you the structure of the paper. We are going to meet tomorrow. Guys,
You are responsible for your own life. No matter how old you are responsible for the things that are currently happening in your life right now. Nobody is going to push you to become a better student. Nobody is going to push you to read more, to study more. You are responsible to put in the time necessary so that you can get the results that you want in your life. So today, make sure that you are putting in the work. Make sure that you are responsible in doing everything that you want to do. Because for you to achieve more, you need to put a little bit extra work to what you are doing and keep on believing. Keep on believing and keep on doing, and you will see the success that you want.
I'm going to do the structure of the question paper, especially our preliminary exam that we are going to write it tomorrow. In our subject, the tourism examination consists of 3-hour paper of 200 marks. You are going to sit in your examination for 3 hours, writing for 200 marks. And then our question paper is divided into 5 compulsory sections. You are not going to choose. You are not going to choose what you want to write. All the sections, they are 5 from section A until section E. And then all the questions in those sections are compulsory. Section 5's A until number E, and then there are 10 compulsory questions. You are going to write for 3 hours. 10 of them in 5 sections. And then how is our structure? Inside your question paper, the first 2 pages after the instruction, you will see our structure, whereby we have section A, which consists of short questions of 40 marks, and then you must spend the 20 minutes on that section of short questions. Section B, map work and top learning, foreign exchange also, the marks, 50 marks, you spend 50 minutes. Section C, tourism attractions, culture and heritage, tourism and marketing, which you are going to write out of 50 marks, and then please spend 50 minutes in that section. And then we have section D. Section D consists of tourism sectors, sustainable and responsible tourism, which carries 30 marks. And then you spend 30 minutes in that section. And then we have our last section, section number E, domestic, regional and international tourism, communication and customer care, which carries 30 marks. And then you spend the 30 minutes in that. And then total of our question is 200 marks. And then of which you are going to spend 180 minutes. The remaining minutes is for you to check from question number 1 until question number 10, whether you have omitted and some of the questions that you skipped and then you want to complete. But in 3 hours, learners, you must be able to complete all the sections. Do not leave any stone unturned. Make sure that you attempt every question so that when we come back for term 4, your educators are able to know where to assist and how to assist you. Because we say preliminary, you prepare yourself towards the end of the year. How is the format of our question paper? Remember I said we've got section A that consists of short questions. And then our short questions, you will find multiple choice questions. You will find matching items, that is, you will be given column A and column B, where you are expected to match the answers to that column number A. And then another one, you will find the question to choose the correct word from the options given in a word box. Your educators, I know they've been practicing with you what is a word box, where you are supposed to choose the correct answer from them. And then also you will find the correct terms in the bracket type of a question. This is our section A. They will be consisting of 1.1 until the 1.5 question type. Like I said, section A will contain short questions from number 1.1 to 1.5. And then all of them, they will make you marks of 40 marks. And then these sections covers map work, graphs, pictures, tourism logos, cartoons, infographics, and word clouds, meaning section A will contain the entire topics that you are taught inside the classroom. So everyone, map work, graphs, and everything, the logos, the TPCSA will be there. Everything that you have studied inside the classroom, it is covered in section number A. Like I said, section A is the type of a question that will come across. You will have 1.1, which is multiple choice, which will be 20 marks. 1.2, one word box, 5 marks. 1.3, brackets, where you will be asked to choose, which is 5 marks. 1.4, the match columns, 5 marks. 1.5, various types of questions. You can get match indicators to infographics, crossword puzzles with pictures, maps with clues, and any other question you may be asked to rearrange some of your answers. So this is our section number A. Please be ready, and then take your time. You saw the minutes that you must spend time on, and then you will be able to accomplish what you went into the classroom. I'm giving you an example of a question inside the paper, but I chose only 1.5. 1.5 whereby there will be many of them. This is an example. I don't say it will be in your question paper, but you will be able to answer anything that may come in this way. I believe you are able to see our red channels and the green channel. They will say choose the correct channel for the 5 tourists to follow on entering at the South African airport. Use the list below number 1.5.1 to 1.5.5, indicating the items each of the 5 tourists has in their possessions? They say write only red channel or green channel. Also, this question will teaches you on how to follow instructions. Write only the red and the green next to the question number 1.5.1 to 1.5.5. And then this one, check inside the bracket says 1.5.1 to 1.5.5. Do not just say 1.5.1 and 1.5.5. Answer 1.5.1, 1.5.2, 1.5.3, 1.5.4, 1.5.5. I've realized this. Most of the learners, they will skip the middle ones. They will write only 1.5.1 and 1.5.5. Please make sure that you read the instruction and then relax and you will be able to answer. In your answer book, for example, they will give you a green channel. They don't say it's an answer, but it's an example. So when you do this type of a question, it means you will be writing only green and red. This is how our section number A, maybe in 1.5, there can be any question like this. But they can ask you a crossword, but like I say, they can ask you an infograph type of a question. Please, our learners, be able to answer what you are asked. Question number B, still under section number A, we have question number 2, which will be our map work and tour planning together with foreign exchange. You will be asked to compile a day-by-day itinerary. You will be asked to calculate the world time zones. You will be asked to compile a tour budget. And then also there will be health and safety precautions together with the travel documents. This also falls under question number 2. Be able to recognize this and then answer what you are asked. Most of them, there will be case studies. Please interpret them and then underline what is needed so that you are able to give the correct answers. Now we have section number B, which is question number 3, foreign exchange. Not long, you were asked, you were helped on foreign exchange. And then under question number 3, you will be asked to do foreign exchange calculations, reason of the impact of the currency fluctuation, together with the uses of the BBR, that is the bank sale buying rate, together with the bank selling rate, the BSR. I believe when you have section number B, you have these subtopics, you will be able to score those marks that I shown you on the structure. We have section number C. Section number C is question number 4, question number 5, and question number 6. And then under question number 4, you will be asked world icons, the famous one. And remember, this year, 2023, we had our list of famous world icons that we studied inside the classroom. I know you are going to use previous papers, but in those papers, please check which icons are being there. If they are not there of the 2023, please do not revise them. I don't say study, do not revise them. And then under the famous world icons also, they will be asking you questions like why an icon together with the sustainable practices on how to take care of those icons. Now we go to question number 5. Question number 5, you will find South African World Heritage Sites. We did them, the 10 of them. We're going to do the location on the South African map. And then you will also ask the criteria that they were used to identify those type of sites. And then also, they will be talking about UNESCO. Know what is UNESCO, what is UNESCO for in terms of the World Heritage Sites. And then our question number 6. Now we are having marketing. Under marketing, you will see TOMSA, you will see South African tourism. They will be asking you what is the function of the South African tourism. You will be asked the platforms, the international ones, the ITB, Berlin, if I remind you. You will be asked the World Trade Markets in London. You will be asked our local ones, that is Africa's Travel Indaba. You will be asked the gateway shows and then also the logos. Please remember, those are the things that you have studied inside the classroom. Now I'm doing only the structure. When you remember, okay, we are doing TOMSA. It means TOMSA falls under marketing. And under TOMSA, I know it's a monster to us. What is TOMSA? Remember, let me give you a secret. It is a levy. And then what is this levy used for? To market South Africa, domestically intentional. You won't forget it. We have section number D. Section number D, we have question number 7. And then under question number 7, we have professional image. Know what is a professional image? If they give you a company, they ask you something about the professional image. Based on these pictures that will be given, based on the case studies that will be given, know how to identify. When we talk about professional image, what does that mean? Remember, it can be the dressing code. It can be the establishment itself. The code of conduct. There are employees and employers in those establishments. We will be talking about the code of conduct. We will be talking about the basic conditions of Employment Act. Remember, we will be in the industry, people will be employed, but there are some white papers that must be used in order to do a harmonious environment in that establishment. And then also forms of payment. What do we use in order to pay this type of goods? What do you use when we are traveling and stuff like that? Those are the things that will come across when you do question number 7. Now we have question number 8. Remember, we are still under section number D. Question number 8 is where we have sustainable and responsible tourism. This is a challenging question, but I know as long as if you know the pillars of sustainable tourism. In our language in tourism, we call it the 3 R's. Know how to recycle. When you are given an infographics, they will be giving you projects in a form of infographics. When you talk about recycle, reuse, and other, and then you will be talking about people, planet, and environment. Those are the things that you will be answering under question number 8. And then also FTT practices. And also the CSI. Those are the things that you will come across under question number 8. Grade 12 learner, please give yourself time. You will be given a long question paper. Please give yourself time to read and understand and be able to interpret what you are asked for. 180 minutes is a very long time. Do not rush. Please make sure that you do justice to that question paper. Answer every question that you are asked. Now we have our section E. Our section E is only question number 10. The one that will make you to cruise now. You will be done with all the questions from section number A. You will be cruising now in question number 10. But remember, do not spend more time in those questions. You've got 20 minutes that is left for you to go and recheck from question number 1, section number A, whether you have skipped some of the things that you did not remember. Question number 10 now, section number E, of which most of you previously saw. I saw also in June examination, you did not answer some of the remaining questions because you spend time on things that you don't remember. Please, if you don't remember, go to the other question and then you will be able to recall. And then you go back to that question. In here you will be doing customer feedback. You will be doing method of payment, customer feedback, and measure customer satisfactory. You will be given also a case study or a cartoon to interpret. Maybe it will be in a restaurant, maybe it will be in a transport, maybe it will be in a hotel. And then you will be asked to do feedback on the services that you receive or a service that a tourist has received. Please, no types of feedback methods. They can use an online, they can do scorecards, they can do any method, but it will depend on the question that is asked. In tourism, what I love about the questions, you are given a scenario. Yours is to interpret, underline what you understand, and from then you will be able to get that 200 marks. And then I see this is our tourism. Like today, it is our International Tourism Day. What a lucky day for us for tomorrow. So, grade 12 learner, you will be asked such. We are not saying it's going to be the same. In tourism, not every question or not every question paper is the same. What is the same, what is common is the content, the one that you have learned inside the classroom. But given you this structure, I believe you will be able to do your best. This is the time we are in 3:12 in the afternoon. You will be able now. You have been doing so many things in the morning the whole week, but today is for you to sit down to know which chapter falls under which sections, and you will be able to answer for tomorrow. This is my tips on how to answer different types of questions. Remember, I had section A with all short questions. But in here, I have multiple choice type of a question. Section A, 1.1. Please make sure that you read through all the options. You will be given various possibilities or possible answers to that question that will be asked. Read through all of them. You will be given 4 options, that is A, B, C, D, and then you will be asked to choose the most correct one. Some of the questions, some of the possibles will be, they will be correct, but we need you to give us the most correct one. So how do you choose the most correct answer when you do multiple type of a question? You read through all the options, and then from then, you cancel out that are totally wrong. You will see some of them, they do not relate to this type of a question, or I haven't heard even my senior educator saying this type of an answer. This is how you eliminate the wrong answers from the correct one. And then from then, after doing that, read the other option again, the one that you think is the most correct one. You read it again, is then that you can decide which one is correct. Please don't guess. Don't say, okay, I did A, B, C, D, now it's number 4. You say C, 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 C. No. Those ones will be determined by the most correct answer that you chose. This is how you are going to do your multiple type of a question. Choose the most correct answer. And then I have this one question with short answers, whereby you are asked to give one word only if you are asked to do that. Remember, I gave you an example of a red and a green channel. If you are asked to give only one answer, please give one answer, because if you are hesitating and then you end up giving us 2 options to that answer, maybe the second one is the correct one. We are going to mark the first one. That's the disadvantage of not reading the instruction. Give one word if you are asked to do so. It does not mean if you give us a sentence, you are more beneficial than the others. Read instructions. Do not write full sentence unless you are asked to do so. That is how you are tested a skill of reading your instructions. And then we've got questions that are requiring long answers. Check allocation of marks as your guide. You can be given or you can be asked a question with only 2 marks. But they say answer in full sentence. You cannot write a paragraph whereby only 2 or 1 mark is needed. That is why I say check allocation of mark as your guide. The next one, understand the instruction. For example, if you are given a question on saying, write a paragraph under the topic given. I'm going to give you an example of question number 8, whereby it talks about responsible and sustainable. They will be saying, discuss in a paragraph how CSI was practiced. Check the topics, the subtopics that you are given, and then you answer based on those subtopics. Do not just write haphazardly so that your educator needs to find questions under those, and then you'll be referring, okay, she's talking about the community, she's talking about the environment. Please make sure that you write every answer under the topics that you are given. And then please, I'm advising you, use correct tourism vocabulary. Yes, we can understand you, what you were trying to say, but we've got our own tourism vocabulary that is used in every topic. Please make sure that you use that vocab so that we are able to allocate you full marks in that. I believe after this structure, you will be able to tackle anything that you'll come across in our question paper tomorrow. Don't forget to bring your calculator, especially when you are going to calculate the time zones together with Forex. Remember time zones also on your map. You will be given a map inside your question paper. We've got our own calculator that represents the watch. That is our calculator. And then please, my old tip also, when you have a calculator, just start to use it today. Do not ask a calculator tomorrow whereby you don't know where the plus and the minus will be. Make sure that the calculator that you will be using tomorrow, you have it today, you know how to operate it. And then please, my advice, make sure that every instruction you read it, especially whereby it will be saying round off when you do Forex, round off to 2 decimal. Any question, if ever there is no decimal, know what you must include to make sure that you qualify the rounding off. Please make sure that you know your coordinates when you do map work. You will be asked a country that is on the eastern side. Make sure that you know your world map. Those are the tips for me today, for you to be able to answer questions. And then please make use of colors of pens that it is expected for you to do in the classroom. Grade 12 learners, I know you are going to make it. And then all the best. From me and my partner, we say good luck and all the best for tomorrow. We trust you are going to make it. Thank you.